So everyone got to see this new redesigned Altima for the first time at the 2012 New York International Auto Show. This new Altima would go on sale for the 2013 model year, and if you wanted one, you could buy one as early as summer 2012. This generation Altima is known as the L33. Of course, L33 being the name of the chassis code. L32 was the name of the old Altima, and D32 was the code for the Altima Coupe. I think they did a great job with the exterior. It definitely looked more upscale. And speaking of the exterior, its design took styling cues from the Allure concept, which was previewed in 2010. So yes, looking at this concept car you see here on the screen, it was without a doubt a source of inspiration for the 5th generation Altima. Even though this new Altima was bigger than the old one, this new one still managed to weigh about 120 pounds less. The Altima was the lightest midsize sedan in its class. I mean, it was lighter than the Camry, Accord, Malibu, and even the Fusion. The Altima was relatively lightweight because of its construction. It used high-strength steel and aluminum in areas like the trunk, hood, and roof. The front end had the same corporate grille as you would find on the 2012 Versa, only the Altima had more angular headlights than the Versa's rounded ones. So this car was on sale in an era where everything wasn't a turbocharged 4-cylinder, kind of like what it is today. Back then, they actually gave you a choice of engines. So there was a base 4-cylinder engine, or you could get a bigger, powerful V6. The 2.5 liter 4-banger got you 182 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque. If you went with the 3.5 liter V6, that would put you in control of 270 ponies. Nissan said the 2.5 liter fuel economy was 27 city and 38 highway, and the 3.5 was around 22 city and 30 highway. And this was because of a new CVT. It was a refined CVT that weighed about 8 pounds less. So although this car was redesigned, most of the major mechanical components were carried over from the previous generation Altima. And it's also worth noting that when this generation went on sale, a manual transmission was not available, and that was a first for the Nissan Altima, because all before you could always get a manual transmission in these cars. Another thing that carried over was the Altima Coupe. This was unchanged and sold alongside the new sedan. So basically for 2013, you could purchase a new L33 generation Altima sedan or an old D32 generation Altima Coupe. However, the two-door coupe's days were numbered. It was discontinued due to slow sales, so after the 2013 model year, there was no more Altima Coupe. So that meant Nissan would only focus on the sedan. But it would have been interesting to see what Nissan would have come up with if the coupe had got a redesign along with the sedan. In the US, Nissan offered the Altima in 5 different trims: 2.5, 2.5S, 2.5 SV, 2.5 SL, and 3.5 SL. The 3.5S and 3.5 SV were discontinued for the 2015 model year. In Japan, China, and other Asian markets, the sedan we knew as the Altima became the 3rd generation Tiana. The 3rd generation Nissan Tiana was introduced to Japan as a rebadged version of the North American L33 Altima. In Japan, the Tiana was offered with a 2.5 liter engine with 3 different trim levels: XV, XL, and XE. So again, the 5th generation Altima became the 3rd generation Tiana in other markets. So before we continue, I'm going to give you a brief rundown of the Nissan Tiana. The name Tiana comes from a small village in Italy. This is kind of what they did with the Murano, which was released in the same era, and the name Murano came from another city in Italy. The car you see here on the screen is the 1st generation Tiana. It first went on sale in 2003, and this car was actually exported to Australia and was sold there as the Nissan Maxima. The 2nd generation went on sale in 2008, and again it was known as the Nissan Maxima in places like Australia and New Zealand. And as we discussed earlier, the 3rd generation was introduced to some markets as a rebadged version of the North American Altima. So the Altima got a mid-cycle refresh for the 2016 model year. And as you guys know, I'm not a fan of mid-cycle refreshes. I repeat this quite often. But I think Nissan designers did a great job with this one. The new front end didn't look forced or grafted on. It kinda just flowed and integrated nicely with the rest of the Altima's body. But anyway, there were new front and rear bumpers, headlamps, and tail lamps, reshaped zero-gravity front seats, steering wheel, and center console. All of that was new. A new SR trim was also introduced. The 3.5 SR was dropped in 2017 for the 2018 model year, leaving only the 2.5 SR as the only available SR trim level. For 2018, the 2.5 SR trim level received two new special edition packages, and those were the 2.5 SR Special Edition and the 2.5 SR Midnight Edition. Also for 2018, the previous base model 2.5 was discontinued. This now meant that the 2.5S became the new base model for the Altima. Overseas, the Tiana also got the same mid-cycle refresh. It was launched in China in summer 2016 and Thailand in fall 2018. And it's kind of funny how in Thailand the Tiana got the new front end refresh but kept the rear end design from the non-refreshed version. So up front you had a refreshed car, but around back it was the same old design as before. Not sure why they did that, but that's what happened. In a comparison test conducted by Edmunds.com, the Nissan Altima beat the Honda Accord and the Mazda 6 to win first place. Edmunds.com mentioned, "The Altima is good in almost everything with only minor deficiencies. It drives well, entertaining on twisty roads, has comfortable seats, and remains quiet on highways." They also mentioned how the Altima was the least expensive out of the group, but it actually felt more expensive than it was, and the excellent fuel economy only added to its high appeal. The 5th generation Altima has accumulated several accolades, including being named to Kelley Blue Book's top 10 best new sedans under $25,000. They say the Altima is supposed to go away, but if that's true, I think that would be a terrible decision. I see tons of Altimas of all generations in my area, and everywhere I go, I see a countless number of the new generation. Yeah, the new generation is getting a little long in the tooth because it's been out since I think 2019 or 2018, something like that, but it still offers everything the average sedan buyer needs at a reasonable price. One thing I like about these older sedans was the fact that they gave you an option, an engine option. You could get either a 4-banger or a V6, you know, and that's something that you just don't see anymore of nowadays. Nowadays, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a 4-cylinder and only a 4-cylinder, whether it's turbocharged or just naturally aspirated. But the days of having a V6 option, those days are slowly disappearing. I mean, look at the new Lexus ES. They don't want to give you a V6 in that anymore. So I look back at these older sedans and appreciate what we had back then. Alright, so you guys let me know what you think. What did you think about this generation Altima? Do you think they should have redesigned the coupe, or are you glad they discontinued the coupe when this new generation came out? Let me know what you think. Can't wait to hear your comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.